Hello, everybody, and welcome to Your Life Purpose TV. This is the show where we share the stories of people who have been living their gifts and talents, who discovered them at some stage during their life through some ups and downs, and some who are lucky enough to have known from a very young age. So joining me today is none other than writer, a prolific writer at that, Alison Nancye. It's a great pleasure to have you here with us today, Alison, and I've enjoyed catching up with you prior to this particular interview and live call. So please tell the audience where you are in your life today, and then we'll work a bit backwards. I think that might be a nice way to do it. Yes.
I'm in my kitchen where I love to write my books in my home. I live on the Central Coast in Australia. I'm originally from Bondi, moved up here 3 years ago for that real kind of coastal escape to the country kind of lifestyle. I have become more of a prolific writer since I've been living here. It's just really supported me in terms of living my life purpose, really, and living it with truth and passion in a way that kind of just got rid of all the other stuff that was getting in my way of living how I really wanted to be living. And that's where I live, on the Central Coast in Australia, in a beautiful little writer's cottage, really.
Sounds really beautiful. And I know you're a mother to a beautiful boy and girl. Mm-hmm. Who have no doubt been a great inspiration to you. So tell us about your books. What are you writing currently? I know you have a launch happening at the end of this month, the end of March 2017. But just talk to us. You've over 10 books written, and just give us the journey, because it's changed from your earlier days. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, look, when I was 8 years old, I really knew that I wanted to be a writer then. I had this assignment from my English teacher, and my third grade teacher rather, and she sent us home and said, write about the day in the life of yourself. And I went home, I was so excited about doing that. And I just wrote about 3 pages, which is quite a lot for an 8-year-old kid. And then I brought it back, and I was one of the selected kids that, she decided to, out of all the kids, 30 kids, I was one of 3 that she read the story out. Anyway, she said, and this happened and this happened. I was just so proud of myself. She was reading out my story. And then all of a sudden at the end of it, she said, okay, class, so can everyone tell me what's wrong with that story? I just was so deflated. And, through a bit of investigating, because the kids are like, oh, we thought it was pretty great. It's pretty, Alison, she's pretty imaginative and entertaining and, energetic. That's how my storytelling is like. And it turned out I didn't have any full stops in the story. 3 pages. One long sentence of story. But something happened to me at 8 years old that this teacher told me that I wasn't good enough to be a writer. That I wasn't perfect. There was something wrong with me and I couldn't do it. And it's like it scarred me, it wounded me from then. And then when I was doing this course, when I was about 14 years ago now, I was doing this course, which was a year-long journey, which was all about living your life with purpose and living your greatness and just basically doing what you love. It was really about looking at life and saying, well, if you could just strip everything away and have a blank new canvas, how do you really want to be living your life? And 2 fundamental things came up for me, and one of them was that I've always wanted to be a writer. I've always wanted to do that. And the other thing was that I always wanted to find my father. I didn't grow up with my father, so I never knew my dad. I grew up in Bondi with my mum, and I just never knew him. I never had a photo. I really didn't know much about him, but it was just something in the back of my mind and the pit of my belly and just deep within my heart that I wanted to find him. And so during this course, I decided I would do those 2 things. I would actually start writing and being a storyteller, and I would find my dad. And I did find him, and it was a massive effort to find him. And it turned out he was living in Queensland. So, really not very far, same country. And it completely changed my life finding him. But what it did for me was it said that everything is possible. You can have any moment in your life where you make your life change. You just have to decide what it is that you want and go for it. Now, I had a lot of people, like I even employed a government detective agency to find my dad several years prior to that. And they went, oh, look, we can't find him. He might be living in England or might have died in the war or whatever. I was like, did he go to war? Oh, we don't know. And it's this thing of sometimes when you choose something you want to do, then other people can influence you and say, well, it's not possible. Or they put all these obstacles in front of you. When you listen to that, it actually gets you off track. So I decided during this course, I wasn't going to listen to that. I was going to pursue my love storytelling and pursue finding my dad. And I did both of those things. So then when I found him, I suddenly went, well, there's other things in my life I'm not actually happy doing. My career, I was kind of worked in corporate and entertainment communications, basically, and a lot of different fields, but it was all working with people in communications and writing, but not really writing. It wasn't writing from writing books.
Not from the heart. Not
press releases and stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, and definitely not from the heart. And so I ended up starting a mentoring business once I found my father, because I thought, God, it's so hard to go for your dreams, and so many people can kind of tear you down and not help you, or put their own obstacles as one of your obstacles, and their own fears they give to you, basically. And so I thought, I want to help anyone that wants to change their life go for their dreams. So I started a mentoring business, and I mentored all sorts of people. I mentored men, women, children, even business partners, people who'd lost their job that were completely directionless, people that were feeling very low and depressed, all sorts of people. And I started in the sessions, I started using a combination of my meditation background. I've been meditating for 20 years now. So meditation background, plus my communications background. So investigative journalists to kind of get to the source of what it is that they really wanted with their life, and then kind of matching with this kind of visualization meditation process. And from that, I thought, I want to help more people with these tools that I'm coming up with in my sessions for people. How can I do that? There's only so many people you can help in a one-on-one session.
Of course, yeah.
And I sort of ran some workshops, and I thought, well, I'm just going to write a book. And I'm just going to, give it to the world, and the world can have it. And so then I wrote this book called Recipes for Everyday Life, and it's basically life mentoring recipe style. So it's cook up your dream job using a recipe, learn how to meditate using a recipe, learn how to manage time using a recipe, learn how to find your destiny dreaming. There's a recipe to find your dream partner using a recipe. And it's really about helping people to strip away all that other stuff and connect to their heart and connect to what's true for them. And that's what happened with the book. And then after that, I thought, I love writing. I just love doing this. And then I did a course called Finding Your Writer's Voice with my writing mentor, a lady called Jan Cornell. So, if anyone can look her up, I would, because she's an amazing woman. And what she taught me what happened in that workshop was that I tapped back into that 8-year-old girl. I tapped back into that girl that had been waiting for permission for 25 years
wow.
to be a writer.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so that's kind of how that was born. And then after that, I kept writing more stuff. I've probably written about 1,000 blogs. I've written a lot for the media. I've talked on the media, on television, radio, and that sort of stuff. And then I kept doing that, mentoring people. And then again, though, something happened to me, and I thought, I'm a little bit off track again. I'm very focused on helping people, but I've removed myself from that core thing that I love to do. And that core thing that I love to do is to write and to be a storyteller. So then I took my non-fiction background and all the content of self-help, self-development, transformation, supporting people to live their life in a way that they love, and I turned it into fiction.
Yeah.
So I basically then wrote my first novel a few years ago called Note to Self, which is being made into a feature film, which I'm very excited about.
And I'm very excited about it. So Note to Self, I want to just let everybody hear that. So Note to Self is actually going to be a movie sometime soon.
Yeah, it will.
Fantastic.
And so that was very, very transformational to write this book. It was difficult. It's difficult to go from being a non-fiction writer to a fiction writer. It's incredibly, you've got to be committed. You've really got to see it through to the end, at the end. And then once you write the book, you've got to go back and rewrite it and edit it. It's a long process, but it really tapped into a part of me that I hadn't discovered was always available to me. And it really would tap back into that 8-year-old little girl that just loved to just lose herself in writing. And so you're going to say
I was just going to say, are you putting the full stops in now and dotting the I's?
It's not my job, it's my editor's job.
That's great, fantastic. They have to work it out.
Exactly.
You probably write the way you speak as well, with the passion and the enthusiasm, and I can imagine that.
My books, you'll know.
You can hear your voice.
Yes. And that's what this workshop with Jan did for me. I really tapped into. She did this exercise, actually. It's a really useful exercise for anyone that wants to learn how to write books. Yeah. She said, go and research a whole lot of books in libraries and bookstores and find the ones that you love the style of writing. Yes. And we had to bring it in and research. And what I discovered was all of those books that I chose were all first person, they all had a female character as the lead character, and she was always going through something. So My Brilliant Career, Little Women, you know, that they were going through something, but they had something to say in the world. And then suddenly I realized I was that person. I was the lead character with going through something and having something to say. And that's definitely how I write now. I write what I know and I explore what I don't. So the stories that I write in fiction are not my life story, but I can relate to them because I've had so much crap happen to me in my life. I've literally experienced it, so I can write that. I write the emotion onto the page. So when I wrote my first young adult novel for teenagers called Veins of Pain, it was a very heavy novel to write because this person was being bullied, she was self-harming, she was really going through something. So I had to really liberate her and really allow her to show her courage, and she had to connect to her life purpose and her creative purpose and things that she loved to do in that book. But writing that was very difficult. I actually write all of my books at home. And I always tend to have this ritual, write them on a sofa, looking out at a view. It's just my thing. I like to look at nature, but I couldn't write that book in my house because it was so heavy. And because I've got a 10-year-old, I had a 10 and 11-year-old at the time. I thought I can't have the energy of that in my space. I've got to go out to do it. So I went to this favourite cafe in Avoca Beach, and I wrote it at Like Minds Cafe. It's a great place. But that particular book, again, people were reading and going, oh my God, that was just, I really felt for what she was going through. And that locker scene, how could they do that to her? Like, people really were championing for my lead character, Eden. So I become the character when I'm writing these books. And then my latest one that's coming out, which is Motherload, which I'm so excited about. I actually wrote that before Veins of Pain. That happens sometimes, you write. Yes. And I was going through a very traumatic divorce at the time. And divorces, no matter how they are, they're traumatic for everyone, for all parties. And so I was writing this novel about a mother who was very overloaded in her marriage and with her children, her life. And she had lost her mojo. She'd actually completely lost her identity. So it's about a mother claiming her mojo and actually living her life with purpose, regardless of her status in society, whether she's married, whether she has children, what her job is. It's just, who does she want to be as a woman? And then recreating her life from that. And it's a great, fun adventure read. I had a lot of fun writing that. But again, I had to really immerse myself in that. But I do write lighter stuff as well. And I've got this beautiful brand of books that I write and co-create with a person called Philippa Pomerantz. And they're called The Umbrella Girls. And they are just
I just want to say that I love the whole title, the concept, the whole branding of that is actually fantastic. I hope everybody looks them up, the Umbrella Girls. Yeah. Have you got a muse for that, though? I mean, you know, obviously writers like yourself. Do you have a muse in mind when you're...
For the Umbrella Girls or just...
Yeah, for the Umbrella Girls.
Well, for the Umbrella Girls, I wrote the first book, which was The Talking Shells. I wrote the first pieces of the story when I was pregnant with my daughter. I just found out I was pregnant with her. I was in New Zealand at the time, and it just came from me there. But Pip and I have really developed the brand in terms of what we want to say. It's really about encouraging girls to shine bright. It's really multicultural. It's a world brand, and it's really about saying it doesn't matter what you look like or what your home life looks like, how much money you do or don't have. We want to encourage you to shine bright and let you know that we all have gifts. We all have gifts. And that's what the book's about. And there's a little meditation at the end of every book as well, which is so nice to kind of encourage kids to do that. So all of my books have meaning and have a message, whether they are non-fiction or fiction. That's kind of my thing that I do.
That's fantastic. Are you going to tackle the boys, a book for boys, do you think, at some point?
I am, and I have been asked this question quite a lot, and I have started writing. This is the book that I'm currently writing, and it's called Buddha Boy.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, and the muse is a little bit my son. My son is hearing impaired, and he's been that way since he was born, but you wouldn't know that because we've done a lot of work with him with speech therapy, and, you know, he just connects with people. He's such an amazing listener and communicator, and his speech is amazing that you wouldn't know. But because when you lose a sense, particularly like hearing, your other senses are heightened. And so that's the premise for this story. Is this little boy is hearing impaired, but he's really able to connect to people. He's able to feel their ego, feel their pain, feel their stuff, but also see their greatness and gifts. And he has to learn how to have the courage to let people hear what he has to say.
Fantastic. I look forward to that as well.
Yeah.
Being the mother of a boy.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about this, Alison? I mean, from interviewing people in my own work myself, how I'm constantly deciphering the wisdom of the universe. And especially when it comes down to life purpose. I certainly have found in my own life how there is a purpose there. There's a thread, but it can evolve and change somewhat and diversify. And then you get a challenge and you have to sometimes down your tools. I know you had to down tools as well. I'm just curious to know your point of view on that. How do you sort of, I suppose, understand, or what could you say about how the life purpose can change somewhat? Do you understand my question?
I'm just sitting with it. It's such a big answer.
Yeah.
I think in simple terms is just to accept that life, you're always rewriting the script in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I will liken it to a book or to a movie that, you know, you don't go to the cinema and watch the same movie over and over and over again.
That's right.
You like to go and watch a brand new movie. And at times you want to watch comedies or drama or action or thrillers. You go through different stages of your life where in ways you want to be entertained. So therefore, the ways you want to live your life, whether it's your career or your partnership of who you're with or where you live in the world, can change. And the only way that you will know that is if you live life.
Correct.
So the more you live life, the more you understand how you want to live life. And I think it is always listening to that within, that voice within your heart, within your intuition. Certainly getting feedback from people around you, but you always have to go within to say, what's the truthful answer for me? And it will confront people sometimes when you want to make changes. Like even for me, moving up the coast 3 years ago, I had a lot of people from my Bondi background going, what do you mean? What do you mean you're moving up the coast? Like, where is Saratoga? Is that in America? Like, you know, that was very confronting for people. But I had to just let go of wanting to please people, really, and worrying about that. And I think that's part of it. It's just, you're right. You do actually have a core thread of what it is that you love to do. And essentially, I love to help people be happy. That's really at the core of it. I just love to help people be happy. And the way I love to be happy is to encourage them through my writing and my storytelling. That's the simple kind of way that I do it. But I still go out and run workshops for girls and workshops for boys and mentoring sessions for people and, you know, blogs. And I do it in lots of different ways, but it's still under that same thread.
Exactly, this under the same umbrella, excuse the pun.
Correct.
The happiness umbrella. No, that's really fantastic, Alison. And I am absolutely going to look forward to your new book coming out, Motherload, and I wish you every success with that. So is there anything else you'd like to say on the subject where, you know, you might offer some guidance to people who are watching, who are just afraid to take that step or afraid of any risk element involved?
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
I would just say that, you know, just to value yourself, just that what you feel, what you love, what you want is important. To value yourself, to take time for yourself, to just be with yourself and decide how it is that you want to be living life. If there are elements of your life you're not happy, you deserve to change them, because otherwise you're just trying to please a whole lot of other people, and you'll never do that, you know, unless you're pleasing yourself. So I would just say, take moments in your life to just reflect. It could be over a cup of tea. It could be while you're meditating. You could be swimming in the ocean or just sitting on a beach. Take moments in your life to reflect and say, am I happy? If I'm not, what would make me happier? And if it means it's sifting and letting things go, changing your dress, ending a marriage, starting a marriage, whatever it happens to be, do that. Do that. And just don't be overwhelmed by the enormity of it, because it is just a few little steps along the way, and they can completely change your life path when you just point yourself in a different direction. And if you go and read Note to Self, it's all about that. This character literally lets go of her life. So if you need some kind of wisdom or advice or whatever, just go and read my Note to Self novel, and it will completely guide people in that way.
Wonderful. That sounds absolutely fantastic, Alison. I couldn't agree with you more. Wonderful. Take the step. I look at me 18 months ago, came down to the land down under at almost 51 years of age, just said, that's it. And it has been exactly the right move. I really trust that we're always where we're meant to be, having the experiences that we're meant to be having. And, you know, as Oprah would say, things are happening for us, not to us. You know, it's happening on our behalf. So I think that's just about really a bit of a rejigging in our mindset and just learning that and educating ourselves that there is always another way of handling things and looking at things. Alison, I am so grateful that you've joined us today. Thank you so much for being part of this show. And for those of you who have been listening and watching us today, thank you so much. I hope you really have enjoyed